This week on RSBANDB Update, Microtransaction Experiment 1 is detailed with a week-long removal of Treasure Hunter at the end of July. What does Jagex aim to learn, and how will we feel after a week of absence? The beach also returns for 2025 with no new content. This is RSBANDB Update, episode 1044, recorded Thursday, July 3rd, 2025. 7 days of empty sound. Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of RSBANDB Update. This week we have MTX Experiment 1 on the docket alongside, well, maybe one of the longest pre-shows we've ever done. You know, we're starting this at 52 minutes past the hour when we normally started at, what, 35?
And we got gabbing and then tech issues. Life
Tech
happens. What do you
issues
do,
and
right?
But anyway, same panel as last week, folks. Tanis, welcome back.
Thank you, Shane.
Everybody's second favorite Australian, Parnassus, is also here.
Back to assault your ears. Yes, I am.
And Thaxi is here to go to the beach.
Let's go to the beach. Beach?
That's right.
Beach life.
That's right.
Let's go get away.
Well, we'll get to all that's well and good in this week's update in just a moment. But first, a big, huge thank you to our experienced tier Patreon members: Amos Reed, Bladecom, Dominic R, Jason S, Jesse W, Kesky, Lemon Lodge, Luminos, Ricky A, Runestar, Arman NZ, Sio Aces, Snail Mage, The Naked Captain, and Tim. Big, huge thank you to all those people. You make RSBANDB Update go. You'll hear more about our Patreon offerings a little bit later in the podcast, and our man did clarify in post-show that it is indeed NZ. It is indeed NZ.
That makes sense.
We do it right
But-
down here.
Sure you do.
But in
Dukes out,
any
brother.
case,
Do
show
you
notes-
want a box of spiders sent to you?
Oh, good lord. I've seen pictures of spiders in your home, good sir. Please no. I am not on the list of favorite Australians.
There's a huntsman sitting in the corner of my study at the moment.
I don't know what
Yeah,
that
keeps
is.
the mosquitoes
How
down.
big is that one?
Large.
It's about
large.
the size of your about the size of your hand.
Jesus! And it's just sitting there.
Yeah, they're
Here's that.
good. Huntsmen's, I mean, they're big and hairy and ugly, but they eat other spiders
Okay.
and flies, so they're the good ones.
All right, fair enough. Spiders aside, show notes can be found over at update.show/OS. We also have the Friends chatting game that you can find at BitsBytes, and the Discord is over at update.show/Discord. All right. So MTX Experiment numero uno, number 1.
Yeah.
This is the disabling of Treasure Hunter, and they came out with the blog post on this one relatively early because July 1st came around, and certain folks were like, why is Treasure Hunter still turned on? I thought Treasure Hunter was being turned off for all of July. No, that's not the way it went. Not the way it
They
went.
did kind of... They could have done a better job
Well,
in their
and
marketing
see,
of, like,
I'll give you that-
making the timeline known.
That for anybody who just watched the video, that's what it sounded
Yeah.
like. That's what it sounded like.
From my understanding, the video,
But if you read
they
everything
didn't
else-
know at that point. They hadn't nailed down for sure how long they wanted it to run for. Like,
Yeah.
the only place we heard about this earlier than the day of the blog was, like, on the day that video released, Huli made a comment as a reply to a Reddit post saying, we expect the current plans as they stand, subject to change, are that it will run for about 7 days. And so, like, we kind of knew it was happening if people were, like, you know, sharing RuneScape news stuff, but I absolutely would not expect the average player to have known that that was going to be the case.
No,
and if you just watch the video, I think it wasn't clear.
Yeah,
so...
and you know the interesting thing is too. I walked
won't
into
Jagex
this.
to that one.
I walked into this at RuneFest. The vast majority of players don't know what the week-to-week updates are. Like, obviously,
they're
the
people
people
from
who are
news.
listening to the show and part of this community, yeah, you guys do. But for the mass majority out there, they probably don't know what the update is. And there were some people even at RuneFest that I talked to who weren't aware of, you know, updates that had happened a few months prior. and whatnot. So there is the opportunity for the very casual RS player out there to see one of these videos and without it being explicitly mentioned, you would think that it would be July 1, but it's actually July 22nd to July 28th. During this time, keys will not be usable or purchasable. How do you feel about this one, Tennis?
Well, first, I just feel like didn't we predict a week? I'm pretty darn sure I thought it was a week before that came out.
We knew.
And that's because I always have a conservative view of how things are gonna be when it comes to something like that. So like that's exactly what I expected. Now how do I feel about it? I'm of two minds of this now because I've been over in Iron Man land for so long that I just don't feel as affected by things like that. But when I'm thinking back as a main, and I'm thinking back as I'm going for a 120 grind, and I'm going for a 200 mil grind, a couple mil a day at the higher levels, not outrageous. It's not outrageous at all, because I'm thinking back when I would do skilling competitions, man, there's some stuff you're putting up 8, 10, 12 mil a day. Some shit you might do 20, 25.
Yeah.
So 2 mil a day from some bonus seems pretty conservative to me.
Okay, we'll get into the numbers because I think that's important, and I want to underscore what they're trying to learn from this, and what they're primarily looking at is that they want to see how RuneScape 3 would be without Treasure Hunter, and the focus is on Treasure Hunter. So with that, they want player feedback. How does the game feel? How is its associated rewards? And how does the removal of daily and earned keys feel? Also, they want feedback on the bonus XP bundles, their value, place in game, and other feedback, which we'll go to after this. And they also want data on the impact to player behavior without Treasure Hunter, whether earned or paid, and data on the interest and purchase of the bonus XP bundles, especially by, and this is a very interesting term here, by time-poor players. And I think
Time-poor players. Okay.
People who play less amount, a smaller amount.
Yeah,
per day.
so the people who have more money but can only play an hour a day.
Yeah, no, there's a term.
People with jobs.
People with jobs, yeah. So I do think, I mean, a lot of that is just, hey, we're going to see how our player metrics change when this daily thing is done. Like, do they have fewer people logging in, I think is one of the things to look at. And then, like I say, time for players, I am interested to see, because they do say time for players, and like, I think, so we'll get into the actual numbers, but like for a level 99 skill, you're able to buy basically 1.7 mil XP bonus experience a day, which means in the amount of time it would take to earn and use that all would be like 2 to 4 hours, which is not crazy, but not huge, right? And like, that is, 2 to 4 hours is pretty reasonable for a time poor player compared to the knowledge bombs, where you can buy a casual only 18 hours per day. So like, I do kind of like, there's a little asterisk on this one for me where it's like, yeah, it's only half as much bonus experience earned at a time, but it's definitely, you can keep the babies running. So like, I don't know about that.
So you could do that for the entire 7 days and basically sleep 6 hours and play 18 hours a day. Nobody should do that.
You could during the event, you could pre-buy, what is 18 times 7? Too many. 70, 120 or 130 something? I don't know. I'm not going to do math on there.
126.
Great. You could get 126 hours of knowledge bombs during the week, and then you have them for until whenever, right? Like, that's, in this case, where they're doing this, like, if somebody really wanted to support the game, like, that's maybe a better investment. If you were just like, I want to show them that I support this thing and I want to give them money, like, that's probably the better option.
Yeah.
But again, I don't know.
Yeah.
I would be so curious to see what the ratio is of stars to knowledge bombs that they sell, and again, how I'm so interested to see
You
what
can buy 41 stars a
what the
day,
blog after this will look like.
and it costs around 25 USD to buy those 41. The small package is 4 stars for 179 GBP, Great British Pounds, and to put that into US dollars, that's about $2.44 presently. The medium package is 12 for $4.99, which is about $6.81. And then the large package is 25 for $9.99, which is $13.64 at present exchange rate.
Curveball. Shane's the one throwing numbers at you today. It's not me.
I mean, it's just currency. I mean, you might pull some of it out of your pants, but never mind.
Speaking of pulling stuff
Excuse
out,
me?
is this? I'm interested to see what the effect of all the treasure hunter junk that comes in. They'll get data for that. So
I think that's going to be I think that's going to be my most freeing thing from this, is that there's no junk, right? Like, a lot of the garbage that I get from Treasure Hunter just goes into a bank tab, and I don't know if I'll ever use it. And I spend, whenever a new promotion comes out, I spend, maybe about 5 minutes trying to figure out how to exactly play that promotion. Whereas if I wanted to, in this case, I'm not saying I'm going to go for the star bundles, but if I wanted to, in this case, maybe the best course of action is just, put it into stars on a skill that you don't like, compared to getting all that junk. I want to actually, you did the numbers at various levels for if you bought these, and I want to ask Tanis and Pern, like, if you're pumping XP here, how does this feel? So at level 80, that's about 940,000 XP a day. At 90, it's 1.35 million. 99 is 1.7. 110 is 2.2, and level 120 is 2.5 mil a day. And at the bottom of that rung, you have 40,000 XP per dollar, and then when you go all the way up to level 120, it's 100,000 XP per dollar when you average it all out to the general US dollar price. How does that feel value-wise?
For myself, I mean, I'm probably a different player to everyone else. I like to play an Iron Man style even on my main accounts. I mean, I'll take the stars on that when they're there, but I wouldn't be spending money on them as such, unless it was a skill like Dungeoneering, which I did 99% solo on my main account and really didn't like. But even at that point, $100K, $1 for 100K XP seems a little excessive. I like the idea of the knowledge bombs a bit better, but then they're more expensive. It's just, great. I mean, again, for time poor players, I think this will be a very good thing. For someone like myself, it's probably a little excessive.
I think if you convert XP per hour, and you just say like how much XP per hour, and then you think about how much time somebody saves by buying these, if it's again a time poor player who has maybe a higher income, let's say, I think there is an income point where this does make sense, I think. And that's the biggest thing for me, is that they picked a number that is somewhat reasonable. But yeah, what do you think, Dennis?
But again,
for a casual player, this is fine. It's going to save you a little time if
Sure.
you just don't want to do a certain skill. It's going to save you a little bit on that. If you're someone that is really, you're playing, you're grinding for something, whether that's 120 max or 200, I think it's a different equation. the expense in dollars is a little bit less, although I mean that it's significant at that value. I mean it's significant. But think about this: you've got to, if the cap is a couple mil a day, at
For
best,
25
if you're
bucks.
for $25, but you're any skill that you can do like a mil an hour GP or XP. Granted, there's only so many skills that you can do a mil an hour GP, but what's that save you?
Couple hours.
A couple hours. It's
Yeah.
not that much.
But like, typically you're going to say those skills are maybe less worth skipping time on, and you put these onto a skill like, I don't know, rune crafting or agility, something that's going to be slower. Well, agility is viable in other ways, but right, you put this on a skill that's going to be slower to train. Well, rune crafting also no longer slower to train bundle. I'm realizing they've kind of addressed that. But like, you put this on something that's going to be just a few 100K an hour as an average rate, and maybe it becomes more worth it. But again,
Something like crafting.
Sure, or something where you also save GP while you're doing it is the other option. Although most of the, yeah.
And that's why I like the sort of knowledge bombs where you get the sort of, it's not sort of a set amount of bonus you're getting that 1.5 for an hour.
Every knowledge bomb is just, congratulations, you saved half an hour. Like there's no funky math in that conversion based on XP rates. It's congratulations, you saved half an hour.
And in some cases that's better than the actual XP, I think.
Well, and yeah, because especially if you're playing an account as an Ironman, or you're using supplies, stuff like smithing or prayer or those kind of things, like you're saving that half an hour of actual training time plus the time to acquire materials. And so that, I think, does come out a little, maybe more in favor. It's also weird because knowledge bombs are not something they do stack with the XP, right? So, and they're not something that we've gotten like terribly
they
regular.
used to
Like
come
they don't show up on Treasure Hunter.
in the Amazon Prime chests.
Yeah,
they did. Yep, that was the kind of where they started. And then, so I don't know. I'm interested to see, because those seem like a better deal to me, despite being a little more expensive per each one. But I think they earn you more XP at higher levels. And
it's also worth noting that this is not necessarily the final price and the final volumes for it, based on feedback.
Yeah, I was going to just mention that at the end of the day, we're talking about balancing, and that's all. I mean, that's kind of minimal when we're talking about an experiment like this kind of MTX experiment, kind of how you started us off here, Shane, like it probably is more of a bigger picture thing, whereas we're RuneScape players, so we just dove in. We're like,
yeah.
We think
my takeaway from this, and what I was hoping that they would do and think that they have done, is that they've made it so that there is a person where it is reasonable to purchase these. I think there is a player who will want to and feel good about it. And it just won't just people who are buying them to like, I support getting rid of Treasure Hunter, I'm going to give you money for it, right? Like it's to show support. It's I think they're actually gonna. This is something that people, that especially some amount of people will like. This is an appropriate price range for them. Yeah, and it's certainly not everybody.
And Hooley did issue.
It's reasonable.
He did issue a number of clarifications on Reddit about this, and one of those was that you don't need to buy any of the bundles to tell us how you feel about the removal of Treasure Hunter. In particular, the exact words were that he'd seen some similar concerns that not buying the bundle won't help send the signal that you want to personally send about Treasure Hunter being in game, but he says that to anybody, you do not need to buy anything. Community feedback is going to be a huge part of this process, which will be in all the usual places, I imagine, Reddit, Discord, and they said that once this experiment goes live, there will be a survey.
I think we also need to not put the blinders on too hard with that.
No.
If they sell really well, that looks good. That is a metric they are 100% looking at and say they're looking at.
That was code for saying that, hey guys, We
That's
know
really
how
saying-
you feel. You have told us. You don't
That's
even
really
have
saying
to
it's
tell
okay.
us again.
Even if you give one, just make sure you give feedback in the survey, right? Like that's them saying, "Hey, give your feedback however you can," is basically where they're coming from.
I mean, if there's a whole bunch
reasonable.
of YouTube videos that get tens of thousands of views this week saying how great this is, that's one signal, right? So
Yeah, I mean, again, I don't know that we're going to see effects from it in game. I think people will talk about it, but I don't think we're going to see. I would be surprised to see immediate effects of this in game, frankly.
Yeah, absolutely.
There'll be some little stuff, and there will certainly be numbers that they can look at on their end, but I think the shift will be subtle from just a week of change, especially since everybody already has a lot of things, and the day after this week ends, everybody gets all the daily keys from the days they logged in. I think that's important because I don't think we've mentioned it. I think that's probably, it's in the FAQ.
That's in the
so probably gonna
FAQ.
cover
Even
it
if
in a
you're a
minute.
Premier Club member, you get all those keys that you missed.
As long as you logged in on a day, they are clocking how many daily keys you did not receive, but would have received, and they will give them all to you at the end. So there's going to be people who pop, 30 keys after this. So we'll see how OP that promo is for it. Because again, the other thing is, like they're saying they're disabling all this stuff for DXP. I mean, I don't know. But anyways,
that's also a key point about disabling is that when this experiment is live, the admin store will also be disabled.
Yeah, because it's part of that interface, or it was part of that interface, which I think is fine.
Yeah. The other clarification I wanted to go to is that they're not actually, in this case for this experiment, looking to see how many people come back to the game as a metric of success. The metrics are the ones that are primarily listed in the blog post. And he fully admits there is no ambition for the bundles to be anywhere near competitive Treasure Hunter. The goal here is to fix the relationship with microtransactions within the game and address how that makes players feel about the game. It's as simple as that. So, I mean, and I feel like it's also maybe a bit roundabout, because if you quit the game because of microtransactions and you come back for this week just because you want to experience it, that can be a signal too, I think. And if you're one of those people, granted, that's not something they're specifically measuring, the number of people who come back for that. But if you're one of those people, make sure you take the survey, make sure you let them know somehow about it, is what I'll say on that.
And the other thing is with your sales on these, I mean, it is for a week, so they're going to sell a lot more in that 1 week than they would sort of if it was available every day, 365 days a year, because it's that sort of, I've got 1 week, so people are going to do that. But those people aren't going to be doing it day after day after day, 360 days a year,
Yeah. Yep. And Tannis, I don't know. Like this bundle wouldn't be enough for like an XP competition, would it?
Oh, I mean,
like the stars.
I would be explaining a $25 charge on our credit card for a week every day. I will say that. But I mean, it would. It's something, but at the end of the day, all it's really doing is like it kind of prolongs the time that it takes to get that much XP, and it makes it more expensive.
You mean more expensive to get the XP?
Yeah.
I think that there's no world where they remove Treasure Hunter without giving us some kind of a daily system, even if that's just like. But I don't know. Again, I don't know. I could be surprised. We don't know anything.
I have a controversial take on that.
Hit me.
XP is too common in the game right now.
Oh, I don't think that's controversial.
And
I
it
think
needs to be dialed back, both in terms of both in terms of rates, where we get XP, like daily challenges, and from Treasure Hunter.
Old school has you brainwashed, but you might not be wrong.
No, I hate how it is in old school. I legitimately think that those are changes they tried to make with Hero Pass, but they could not get through, and it's something that the balancing team probably wanted to push back then, but they weren't able to.
I have a take on this that you won't believe because once again, I like my XP like I like my treasure hunter, but I'm going to compare this in metaphysical terms. Think of like XP is like the material world. And when you break yourself away from the material world and you play Iron Man,
Or you go
you
out in
just
nature.
exist. You just exist. You just exist in the game. You're not chained. You're free. Like you really are free. You're free
breaking
of the
free of the
material
chains
world.
of capitalism.
Yeah. So like, you know, Iron Man. That's what I say.
The Iron Man has been the solution to MTX from kind of day one. Like that's kind of also just been it. Like that's the like we're not going to acknowledge it, but that is, or they're not going to acknowledge it, but that is kind of the like, okay, you don't like it, well then don't play with it.
Play old school or play Iron Man, right?
Yeah, and it's that way with the XP too, right? Like I'm not married to it no more. I don't care what my rate in a day is. It's like I know it's so cliche, but it's like the journey.
Like and to say on the XP front, like I used to want XP rates to slow down to what they were when RS2 first came out to kind of have the whiff of, classic, but playing old school and trying to train rune crafting over there, I like my creature comforts.
Imagine having to get 110 rune crafting on old school to max.
No.
Right?
No.
110's also kind of messed with this formula because the XP requirement to hit max level is 2.5 to 8 times higher now, depending on the skill's actual
Could
cap.
you imagine doing Guardians of the Rift to 110?
Yeah, true.
Nope. I mean,
right?
yes, but nope. I wouldn't. I could imagine someone doing it, but not me.
The third clarification was that, or did I put the two in at the same one? Yeah, I opened the wrong tab up twice. But they're not looking at key usage pre or post experiment on this, so they won't be comparing, how many keys were used leading up to it versus, like you were saying, Tanis, the sugar high that people are going to be getting off whatever promo that is when the keys come back.
Yeah. This is almost starting to feel like a field sobriety test. I'm not sure there's any way to win to pass.
Just remove lamps full stop. Let people have their bonus XP, but just don't let them skip.
I mean, it's good that they're not measuring our sugar intake after it, right?
Yeah. Lamps and proteans both. I think proteans are as much as anything else.
Yes.
Things that people really complain about.
Have you guys seen the screenshots of like the protean processors and the dummy processors on DXP when someone lets one of those rip and how much XP comes out of them?
Oh yeah. I mean, I use them on my 200 mil run on certain skills, but it's just like
how do you get the processors, the protean ones in particular? Because I've never got any of them.
Yeah, me neither. That's why, I didn't realize it was a problem. And yeah,
they're like a purple or whatever the heck. They're fancy. They're the fancy colors.
Okay. Because I know I have a bunch of proteans in my bank that I would like to use one of those on, but I never received it. But questions in particular, why 7 days? They want an optimal length of time to learn what they need to. And they say permanent change is coming, but these experiments are the crucial step of learning between today's model and a final proposal that they can share. They want to know where to go, and they just have to validate how to get there. So
and again, 7 days. It's a good testing area, but it's not going to hurt the bottom line too much for their investors.
Once again, that third experiment will pay for the other two. If they're worried about, if anybody was looking at their bottom line, and it sounds like they're aware that they're going to be making decisions that aren't necessarily bottom line happy. I would expect that this quarter will, between people just trying to support these bundles coming out and the cosmetics coming out in a couple of months, I kind of expect that they're gonna have their bottom line will look fine. I think this is set up in a way that will allow that. So
I've put away $250 for cosmetics just to support them on that one. And that's not because I want them. That's just because I want to say, hey, you're doing a good job. At least you're trying.
Do this.
I'm going to give you.
We support this thing.
Yep.
Let's see. Why are you selling bonus XP bundles? And this is, I think, this is what you were worried about, Tanis. Where does this discussion go from here? And, will anybody poison the pot, so to speak? Because they say they recognize there are players who purchase MTX to help the game fit into their life with the help of pacier progression. That's an interesting term, pacier progression. And they're committed to changing MTX in a way that's better for game health, yada, yada, yada. So effectively, they say they're exploring this option for people who feel the loss of MTX may diminish their ability to play. They welcome all opinions on this, so please do let us know what you think about them trying. And this is what I saw from what I'll just say are portions of the more cynical community, is that this is effectively moving the goalposts to continue to have something to complain about. Because if, let's just say there is a world 6 months down the line where Treasure Hunter does get removed, and yet you have some sort of direct purchase thing you could have here that gives you stars, you know that there's always going to be somebody out there who's going to be complaining about the ability to purchase this.
Yeah, they can F off though. That's fine.
And that's it. I mean, play the game the way you want it. If you don't like buying stars, don't buy it, but don't hamstring someone else who can only get on, maybe an hour a night or, on their weekends, and they want to just get that up there because they want to do, their high-level bossing with mates and things like that. I mean, it doesn't affect your gameplay, so... A
lot of long-term RuneScape players are getting to the age where they're having kids and families and busy jobs.
Exactly.
And, life is getting crazy for people, and if we want them to continue playing the game, for some people, that's just what needs to happen.
I'll be completely honest. If that was an option in old school, I'd probably still be playing it more.
Yeah.
So, it's you have elements of that in this call here, and I think our community understands that based on what I know about everybody who that sounds creepy. What I know about everybody, who took our listener survey.
We've gotten.
What do you know about
we get from the people in our community and the discussions we have in the Discord and the comments we get on our podcast and YouTube and all the things generally seem to be.
Shane knows what's in that hidden tab, people.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways,
and then the question is that does the daily cap insinuate that future monetization may be encouraging dailyscape? And like we talked about last week, I think that dailyscape is the number 2 thing that needs to be addressed in addition to the value of XP. And I think some people are kind of honing in on that's something that they could potentially monetize. But as of right now, we have no reason to believe that they're not being transparent with us. So they say not at all. The cap is there to ensure that they moderate the amount of bonus XP and time-limited XP buffs that can be acquired given the short availability. So,
and it's also a safety measure for people's credit cards. I mean, your son gets on and decides that hey, look, Dad's left his credit card on there. I'm just going to keep buying all these things, and at the end of the month, Dad gets $1,000 bill. He's not going to be happy.
Yeah,
and having that limit is a good thing.
There's been so much, back in the day when in-app purchases became a thing. There was so much pushback from mainly people who were iOS users. Google had a limitation in on this to have some form of a passcode or the Face ID before making a purchase to prevent the kid from, buying however many, Pokemon Go things, right? Those sorts of things.
The lady I used to work with, her son, who spent $3,500 on Smurf berries.
What game is that?
Did they find him in the outback? Did a dingo
The
eat him?
Smurf, there was a Smurf game. It was just on the iPhone. He used to come in after work, from school and sit in the back room. And she goes, "Oh, he wanted something," so she put the credit card in quickly while he was sitting there to get whatever he needed, but she didn't close it, so he decided he wanted all these Smurf berries, so he just sat there and just was buying these bundles of Smurf berries, whatever they were. And she went to do shopping that night, and her credit card, she couldn't buy food, so she had to ring up. Luckily, they credited it all back to her, but yeah.
Yeah.
The joys of modern life.
I think we also, and I don't remember if we touched on this actually on the show, but I think it is important to mention and really call out that they're doing only bonus XP with this.
Which I love.
There's no direct XP. There are no lamps. There are no proteans. There are no dummies.
And another note thing, I know that this also just completely nips in the bud. It nips in the bud any kind of random chance and anything that could be predatory.
Yeah, of course. But it's also there's not even any Silverhawks. Similarly, and this is going to be interesting as we prep for a DXP with no. Well, I don't know if I'm assuming portable stations will still work, but maybe they won't. That would be interesting.
They're an MTX item.
Yep.
Yeah, but they're so.
Hey, that would finally give us a reason to do that POH update with all these sort of nifty things that we talked about a few months ago.
Wait, does that mean
in the POH? Make permanent ones? Bring people to your house to use your portable stations? You don't have to put a bank in the POH for that, but...
I still reckon, as a cluer, with all the running around I'm doing, don't worry about the Silverhawks. Just an upgrade to agility is every 4 or 5 map squares, you get some XP. And the running around I do, I'd hit 99 no worries doing clues.
Just give it XP.
Silver Hawk is a treasure hunter item. Silver Hawk down is a game item. So,
but the boots are still
craftable from
yeah.
But the boots are still a treasure hunter item, which
damn it!
Yeah, that's why we're lacking in agility on the GIM.
Yep.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
So, again, I think it's just important to call out that, they are, I've heard quite a bit of community feedback, I feel like, at this point. That's hey, we want you to put less direct XP into the game and actually, force people to pull supplies out of the economy to train. Even if that's, half as much if they're using BXP or whatever, that's fine.
Yep.
But, actually make people do the thing. Which is, I think, not something we would have heard 10 or 15 years ago. I think that is something that we have come around on, that we're realizing oh, hey, no, even if this goes awful, we should still need to pull, we still need to keep the economy going with it. So
yeah. It's not necessarily the healthiest way.
I don't like direct XP, and even on my main account, I used to convert lamps to oddments. I'd take my stars, but I'd convert lamps to oddments because I'm playing a game. I want to play the game. It'd be sitting there getting just going into a game and saying, "Oh, okay, I don't like that skill, so here I'm just going to do this, and I'm going to make it a 99 straight away, and not have played an ounce of it."
Sure.
Yeah, and that's a philosophical discussion to have too, if they want people to be able to do that in the game.
Well, just then sell level 60 accounts for $100.
Right, and that's where that leads to, and that's the whole other thing about direct purchase as well, is that is there ever going to be direct purchase XP? There's not in this experiment, but who's to say we don't go down that path in the future? So I think there's lots of still unanswered questions about this, but I think everybody is in agreement from what I've seen that there's nothing bad that's going to come from a week of a treasure hunter, right?
Hold the data, do it.
Yeah, and if nothing else, it gives them a chance to do that. We could never even get to this point when everyone's starting point was, no.
Yeah.
We don't want it. No. Like, at least we're to a point now where we're having a discussion about bonus experience. We're talking about stars, right? You couldn't,
Right.
yeah, you couldn't have done this even 2 years ago.
Yeah.
Because of all the faux outrage, yeah.
All right. Well, with that, I think we can move on. I'm going to thank some Patreon supporters right now. This week, first episode of the month, so a lot more people on the board because of that $3 tier. So this week, I'd like to thank Alaska, Alvaro L, Amos Reed, Arvids L, Bladecom, Brandon F, Chulbura, Dominic R, Duramax, Golden XP, Guy Lafleur, Imperialis, Jade Gizmo, Jake M, Jason S, Jesse W, Kesky, Lemon Lodge, Luminos, Michelle M, Mongrath, Necromatus, Parnassius, Ricky A, Robbie D, Runestar, RMan NZ, had to think there for a minute to make sure I said it right, Samuel FL, Scott DS, Shirt Pants, Oasis, Stale Mage, That Limey Git, The Nathan Captain, The Dabbing Goat, Tim, Ukulele Steve, Woody, Zant, and Zazacon. Thank you so much, everybody. Patreon.com/RSBANB. There are 3 tiers of membership available if you want to support the podcast monetarily, starting for as little as $1 a month. You get access to all the monthly bits that are out there. You get to vote in those monthly bits. You get to come to the round table when we do them, and we just had a tie monthly bit between What About Ranged and RuneScape's highs and lows, and the coin flip broke towards What About Ranged. So we'll be sitting down to have that conversation about Ranged as a PVM style in a little bit, but you'll get access to that episode and so many others, Legacy Combat, holiday events, tier lists, the like, so many, just for $1 a month. But we also have the VIP tier, where for $3 a month you get a VIP rank on Discord, chat channel access, and the mention on the podcast at the start of the month, so this week, plus high-quality stereo version of the show. And then we have the Insider tier, where you get a shout-out on the podcast each and every week, as well as outtakes that we use to make the clip show at the end of the year, plus the RSBANB Update Christmas card, provided that there's no postal strike as happened last year. And, of course, we also do have the Experience tier as well, which those people, as we mentioned at the top of the show, make RSBANB Update go. They are they're responsible for a lot of what we do. So they get Q&A episode where they get to come in for pre-show and talk to us about something of their choice. They also get to listen to the show live as we do it, and sometimes we do mail outs for them too. One in the mail right now that went out to them is the 20th anniversary item. So all of that and more, patreon.com/RSBNB. Thanks so much, everyone.
Thanks, guys.
All right, let's go to the beach. Same version as 2024. Is there a problem with that?
Yep.
Exactly
No.
the same version.
I think there's an argument to be made for keeping some things the same, and that being entirely reasonable. And I think literally putting 0, just re-enabling it and putting in 0 new changes leaves something to be desired, and we can get into that.
Yeah.
I mean, leaving it the same is fine, but having no 2025 items to collect is, I mean, sorry. I've got an account that is maxed on everything. I don't need XP, but I like chasing those items and just seeing if I can get them. And if I don't get them, I don't get them. But at least I'm on that hunt for them. By not having anything there, my Pern account is not going to be logging on to do it at all.
What do you think, Terrence?
I think that's fair. At the same time, I remember when the beach was removed and we wanted the beach. Everyone's like, "Oh man, can we just get the beach back?" And some of the holiday hubs I think have worked well. Some of them I don't think have really hit it. So to me, the beach is great, but I think what Pern brings up is fair, and that's probably if they had that, I don't think we would even necessarily be having this discussion, because we're better for the beach than for not having the beach.
Yeah.
The beach is great, but there's got to be a reason, and they should have an item to go to collect an exclusive item each year that you can get the next year, but something to chase each year.
Yeah, and
by
the model
not having that,
the model they could do, and I think Blooming Burrow and the Christmas event lead into this is kind of the same thing that Star Trek Online does for their holiday events in tennis. You played through a few of these, so you know what I'm talking about. Every summer, the Star Trek Online event, it's the same. There's the same activities and whatnot, but each and every year there's new things. Like this year, they get the hologram ship from Star Trek Insurrection, Dr. McCoy's Disco Doctor outfit from the first 1979 movie, and a whole bunch of other emotes and new abilities that you can buy with the summer event currency. So I don't think that the beach necessarily needs to change in terms of new activities that come in each and every year, and I don't even think that things like the Burrow and the Christmas event need to change. I just think that there needs to be, if you're going to bring something back, there just needs to be, like a handful of new cosmetics. And looking at the list of things that we get in like Star Trek Online, it's a handful. They're not necessarily game breaking, but there's enough to spend a few days there and gather some of the tokens and socialize with people and get the new items. So I would have liked to have seen that, I think.
So, like, thinking about it, right, as it stands, the beach is it's a training method, right? Like, that's kind of what they brought back. Is they said, hey, if you want to do the dungeon hole, if you want to do the AFK construction, I mean, anybody who's training a range on the Coconut Shy, congratulations, you've done it. You're a psychopath. I'm proud of you. Keep it up. Strong work. But like, and I think that that's all well and good, and it's one of the things is I'll be buying some of the tokens from it probably on the GIM because it's some of the stuff we can trade is those tokens, and they'll drop like a rock over the next 3-4 weeks.
Like I was asking for Speedos last week, right after our show.
Yeah, I mean, and this is kind of going to eat into my next point because they already have a Menafite beach outfit, but I feel like if you look at the content we've gotten this year compared, like in the last 12 calendar months versus like last year, they could have added in like necromancy themed things, or like they did like Battle of 4 and 3, so like the tail end of the fort they could have done like Vorkath or something. This year they've done a lot of like the desert scene stuff. So like why isn't there just like an Amasket themed something, or like even like summer decorations for the fort, or like parallel rewards, a set of a couple of random overhead emotes. And again, I don't know how much work any of that is to put in. I wouldn't ask for like a whole set of anything, but just a couple of odds and ends. The beach has such a robust reward like set already that it doesn't need to be a lot. Just make a couple of things themed after whatever the year is, or the story is, or something fun, or classic RuneScape, silliness.
Yeah, and I also feel like there was a bit of a mixed signal sent last year about the summer event, because that's when they were contemplating doing a summer event at the caliber of like Halloween and Christmas, right? And
right.
I think, and people said
more than enough.
People said don't do that because we want content instead. So they didn't, and now for summer events, the process is there that just reuse the beach. And I think we got some new cosmetics last year with it.
I'm willing to give them some benefit of the doubt, just in terms of like it seems kind of similar to Pride, where they're obviously this one's a lot less
controversial
loaded as a topic, which is again regardless the beach is like, it seems like they're very much putting a lot of dev resources, or I'm hoping they're putting a lot of dev resources into Haven Height and their 110 updates, and like because they've got a lot of kind of, I don't want to say irons in the fire, but they've got a lot of like longer term projects that are going to be releasing in the short term. Leagues, yeah. If you're looking at any kind of engine work, they've got just the leagues alone, I'm sure, is keeping their engine team relatively busy. Plus the 110s as well, I'm sure. But like, so there is something that like I'm willing to give them a little bit of benefit of the doubt for like that, but it is a little silly to me that there's not even like they couldn't even add in like a reskinned surfboard or something, you know?
Exactly.
Like,
Or a couple of titles.
Just one
Titles are
thing,
simple.
and just like get something to put on promotional images in the news post. Well, there's a billion titles. I kind of am glad that they didn't do more titles this year. I'm totally honest. Complete Sunnist is already too much. But like, again, it feels like there should be systems that they could have put something in.
Like I thought our thumbnail
quickly.
this week was going to be the hot tub breast animation with a shirtless character and something at the beach. But I don't even know if the beach goes on the thumbnail this week.
I mean, the beach is the update of the week. It still is, and it is like for especially main accounts, it is definitely.
If you don't have 120 Dungeoneering, you should be in that
expensive
hole if you're a main.
It's not a great experience. If you don't like Dungeoneering, you should be in that hole.
But it's super
For the
easy
rest
to
of
do.
For the rest of us normal people who don't mind doing some Demonheim, screw the hole. But again, the hole being there for people who don't like Dungeoneering, now's your time, bro. Get in there.
I wish we had the hole.
Yeah, it would simplify a number of things related to getting into Prif and similar.
We just need to get the group together. This week flew by for me. I meant to do it this week, but we'll see about next week.
Next week is also holiday week. Yeah, we'll see next week. But yeah, so I don't know. I'm kind of the opinion that they bring back the thing, and it's just like it's good to have it around for people that are like just getting the bathing suit unlocked. The 100 resets with ice cream cone, 100 ice cream cones eaten, is like, or 100 temperature bars filled. Like there's a lot of content at the beach for a new player, and experienced players have either realized they don't care or spent their time there, right? Like
that's a good point.
As a piece of content, bringing it back does give a lot of content to the game that is seasonal, that is like people are still going to go for Claudia. Like again, if you pull some of those outfits, like the casual beachwear or the Aya beachwear, some of those that are like a mil plus or were a mil plus, like you're going to still make a little bit of money off of it. There's not useless to go there. And the cocktails are a good XP buff for mains, or they're an XP buff. I'm not going to say they're great. But
there's also Pern was mentioning the clues, the sandy clues that we all should be doing.
That I've definitely done one of ever on any account, Smile, and we'll probably have to start doing for dailies because I want fortunate components. Haha.
And we know how a bunch of us feel about clues here. So, but
the good thing with the clues they changed a couple of years ago, where it's only the people in the beach that you run around to now. Yeah. It's not like the original ones where you were in the outer world. So it's a 2-minute run.
Does the Alt 1 like clue plugin and stuff like display that too? Or is there a way to like streamline those clues if I don't have memorized all the clues?
You'll know them. It's you run and see Sheldon. Okay. You run and see Flo. I mean, the hints are so easy. I mean, you can pull up the page; it'll tell you each one because I think there's only like 12 or 15 sort of different steps. It's not hard, but it's not crazy. It's run to this 11. Person, run to that person. Well, there you go.
11 different steps. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. Run to this person, run to that person, and it's like it's 4 or 5.
I'll learn them very quickly if I'm doing
exactly
this
right.
Cool.
I mean, I'm doing mine. I'm doing mine, and they're still memorized from last year.
Yeah. Okay, fair enough. So, like, again, there's clearly rewards for a lot of players that are worth at least coming to see it. And I think that that clue is a good thing in terms of, like, having a daily thing, like the letters for Santa or the egg hunt in the Blooming Burrow, or I think running the maze, ? I didn't do a lot with the Halloween event. I was busy. But, like...
Yeah.
There's something.
I think the reason we have PTSD from these clues is that previously you would have to go to places like Menafos, Ape Atoll,
exactly,
Crash Island, and so many others.
I'm going to just emphasize, I think it's a little jarring to not have any rewards from the event, like to have a seasonal event released without rewards for longer term players because again, these events are like, while this one isn't necessarily designed with longer term players in mind, it seems odd that like people who might have been excited for the beach, like, you know, Pern, great example. It's like you suddenly just don't have a reason to be there anymore, and your excitement was kind of not necessarily warranted. And I think even just having a little bit of something is like,
and that's it. I mean,
it's really important to like slam home.
Yeah, I'm a player that likes to just unlock things and just to have an outfit.
I'd also like to just raise the idea that's like, do we even need a summer event in the game with, you know, full-fledged offerings now from Easter, Christmas, and Halloween?
Yeah. I mean, the beach is iconic.
I like that it's quarterly. I like that it's quarterly. I do.
Okay,
I do.
But again,
the beach is an iconic piece of content that you know we've sort of had for years. Yeah, I have no issue with it. I mean, you know, even though I'm max, if there was, and that's all I'm saying is just one outfit and, you know, another surfboard override that's themed.
Give me like two
something
emotes
like
maybe, or like or a chapel, or like one of the fort upgrades maybe, or like,
I couldn't see it being more than
give me a weapon, you know, like something.
I couldn't see it more than I couldn't see it being more than a week or two of one developer's time to sort of implement it, really.
But then when you factor in, but then when you factor in design, QA testing, like, getting into release candidate, that 1 to 2 weeks developer time becomes 5 weeks.
If you're reskinning something, if you're reskinning something, that's not going to take a lot of QA.
Paint a new texture and slap it on a surfboard, you know, at minimum. Like that should be a 2D.
I think that's a fair
2D
question. Like how easy is it to put in a new surfboard, put in a new title, put in a new cosmetic like outfit?
I'm sure it's more complicated than we realize. Like, I am 100% sure that there are steps involved in that process that we do not know, because they do such an excellent job, genuinely, of making the game not buggy. They do not release buggy content. They're like the only MMO I know where there isn't a huge scramble every update to fix all of the broken things and like hunt down bugs. Like, they just don't do that. They fix the things in advance.
Yeah.
Most of the time. Obviously there are some standout exceptions to that, but like, I will give them full credit for it. So
no, I think that's fair, but I was just basically wondering,
is
like, what's the size compared to your smallest, you know, patch week update?
If we had Halloween or Christmas without anything new for the quarterly event hub, I would be upset.
Absolutely.
And I am channeling that upsetness for this. You know, it's not the end of my world. It's fine, but come on.
That's it. It's not the end of the world, but it'd be nice to have something. You know, I'm paying for a
put
game,
out a thing.
You're putting an update in.
Not done.
I want to do something there.
All right, good. We do have a few patch notes this week as well. Going back to the 110 crafting pitch, Masterwork damage stalling buff text will no longer overflow on the buff bars. And the scuba sheep have been deployed. I'm not going to do the sheep noise there.
Scuba sheep.
That's where we need the RR man. The sheep
to gobble up the grass tile in the ocean northwest of the crafting guild. So there was a blank tile there.
Something got left.
It's like when you're playing Minecraft and you realize you forgot that in your cleanup process. The overcharged platinum ring of retribution is now protected on death. And Masterwork Magic armor recipes are now clamped to making one of each item at a time to avoid inadvertently making multiple Masterwork items of the same type if carrying sufficient ingredients. Right on. Right on.
Good.
Ouch.
Strong work. Good job. Again, interfaces seem like they're maybe the QA that doesn't get done somehow continuously.
Yeah, because we identified that on launch week, and I'm glad that, you know, it's been fixed. And, you know, always double check your UIs, but when you're dealing with things like, you know, essences from Virago and whatnot, yeah, just a little bit extra time there. We also
Yarr.
got a whole bunch of Game Jam clue items, or clue updates this week. They added the Lost Grove as a potential area to scan during Master Treasure Trails. They fixed an issue that prevented players from getting elite clue compass spots in the Karazi jungle and the Herblore habitat. The Gnome Coach no longer moves around, as does Captain Ninto no longer move around. You know, if they put those two updates there in old school, people would be rioting.
Bloody chasing that Gnome Coach.
Violently.
Oh, yeah, there he is. I click on
like
him, you're starting around, and he's walking. You do a full circle
Yeah.
around the bloody...
Shane's just salty that they didn't keep his leprechauns from moving around. I feel like they might do it for the clearers, but who knows? Anyways.
Salt is one way of putting it. They also reworked the Portmaster Kag's travel interface, as well as the interfaces for metallic and regular dragon trinkets when teleporting. And
Cool.
they have slightly reduced the delay when using fairy rings, which is actually, you don't think that's going to be noticeable, but it is. I noticed that this week.
It's a tick or two faster. I've been going back and forth to the Bainite mine in the Glacier Cave during our recording, and it's nice. I'm noticing the difference.
And finally, Dr. Nabadik is no longer referred to as Dr. Nababic in some cases. If you know, you know.
I don't know, but I probably clocked it at some point. I was like, huh, whoopsies. I wonder if that was a consistent
your brain
typo
just does
that
what mine
somebody had
does and
made.
just changes it.
Just moves it right along. Yeah. Yep.
And the biggest patch note of the week.
Thank God. It's coming.
Made a change to unify the 6 Ascension keystones into one keystone. So this means we can do Ascensions or get the keys now and only camp one of the things, right? And we don't need to move around.
Touchdown! No, that's the keys to get into the bosses. So instead of there being a key for Primus, a key for Secundus, and like if I need 80 Primus keys because I go unlucky, I don't.
Okay, got it.
This means that if I get unlucky at a specific Legio, I don't need to farm extras of that specific key, because that was awful. Like, if you went dry on one, you would just end up with these, like, huge stacks of random keys from farming it, because you got random keys, and the RNG, like, you had to have your RNG work out to get the right numbers of each key and get the, like, drop in the right, like, that system was awful, and having a singular keystone means that no matter how dry you go on any boss, you're good, and it also means that they stack in the banks, whereas like, I think they said who was working on that. I think that was a sponge update, and like, oh my God, thank you.
For me though,
strong work.
For me though, second best update of the week. The next one is the best one.
Okay.
And Shane, you should be agreeing with this one.
Okay. I just want to also say with this is that a lot of people don't realize it, but I think that this inherently makes Tier 90 Ascensions a lot more accessible.
Yes.
For Iron Men in particular, yes. For
yes.
mains, you could just sell back your extra keystones. Not a big deal. The Iron Man players are I'm very pleased about this.
And the reason that makes me so happy is because I spent the longest time of my initial PVM journey on Ascensions, and they were fine. So.
Oh, like using them as a weapon. Yeah, 100%. I mean, Tier 90s are great. So making them accessible if we want to just go and do slave on them, because we're going to need the Ascension dart or bolts anyways for various things. So, yeah.
What it means, I can now put the Skataris in my dungeon and just AFK those again like I was doing on my main.
Yeah. Hell yeah.
Yeah.
But also Group Iron Man storage now allows for Revenant gear, superior scrimshaws, invention tools, and some skilling offhands, including the fishing rod-o-matics, which we tried actually just in the past week to store before this update, but we weren't able to.
And now we can. And thanks to Lemon, we also know that the note paper I make can now go in there.
Was that?
Yeah, because that was not included before, apparently.
Yeah, so that must be included as an invention tool then.
Must be, yeah.
I guess it would. That's a stretch, but I'll allow it. That got snuck in there probably under the invention tools category.
We have like a bunch of next to do as a group, and getting the super restore and super just the regular Sarah brew drops
the
there
brew
is
drop,
annoying.
yeah.
So
Yep.
that's good.
Top notch.
Highwaymen NPCs have received a new, more deadly fit. And then these ones that were marked as an asterisk were in last week's patch notes, but didn't make it into game due to a last-minute change. So the Flamebound rival status effect on the Zuck sword will no longer clear on player death, including sign and immortality. And it will now persist through phasing at Araxor P2 into P3, Raksha P4, and Zamorak P7. That's good. And players are now awarded cosmetic versions of Sun Spears when completing the River of Blood. And because of this, Sun Spears can no longer be keepsaked, and players will be refunded if they had previously keepsaked a Sun Spear.
Just to go back, the Highwayman NPCs have received a new, more deadly fit. Is that supposed to say outfit?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, fit, like what they wear.
It's just, I guess that's slang, but that's, yeah.
I've never heard it called fit. That's why it was just confusing me.
Okay, that's
some Dimmer talk.
Ask your kids about it.
Bloody millennials.
Sorry,
shorten everything.
Sorry. That is absolutely millennial jargon, 100%.
I've never
we
ever
can claim,
heard
we can claim that one.
Even I knew that one.
Hey, I'm 55, okay? I'm the grumpy old Dan.
Hear you grump.
But just to discuss these last two, I think it's good. The changes they made for the Zuck sword, that sort of thing needed to happen just to give it a consistent behavior.
Very excited, very, very excited about that.
Oh yeah,
change,
absolutely.
So. Good stuff.
The sword is crazy now. So
yeah, yeah.
And I don't necessarily know anybody who's ever keepsaked a Sun Spear, but here we are. I'm sure there's somebody
for the people out there. God bless. Godspeed. Get your key back.
All right. Well, that's it. That's it for the patch notes this week. With that, what have we been doing in RS? Let's start with you, Tanis. And yes, I'm actually following the notes this week for people who just saw that. Yes.
Well, I've just been doing the GIM training. Been working, a lot of mining so that I can do crafting. Cutting gems, working on invention, gonna get there. Yeah. So, that's really, what it's come down to. Thanks for the porters. I put them to good use, and yeah.
And I'll have Dragon Stones to contribute back into the stock there, because for mine, I've been spending about an hour and a bit a night at the Glacier Zero Mech, so that will definitely help with that in terms of just utilizing the charm printer before it goes offline, right?
Amen. Yep.
So there's that for me. I've also been moving through the Extinction Elder God Wars arc. I just recently, in a marathon session, did Azanadra's Quest, Battle of the Monolith, and City of Sintistan within the span of about 18 hours. And, I still feel like those two quests in particular are some of my favorite that they've ever put out. I know that was a little bit controversial with Azanadra's Quest because it was just, like a big, long, go talk to people kind of thing. But playing both of those again, I realized that is kind of what I expect from my quests in particular, whether it's, a lore person's quest with Azanadra's Quest or a fully fledged quest with a bit of combat and puzzles and lore throughout the way when it comes to City of Sintistan. And, I don't think that you need to go to the cosmic level to do those sorts of things like we had with the Elder God Wars arc, but if I'm ever going to hold up two quests for what I think should be, if we're not talking about bespoke little one-time things, I feel like those two fit the mold for me. I don't necessarily know how you guys feel about those going through them your second time, Pern.
They were good. I didn't mind it.
Yeah. I mean, I like the lore. So as an Adra's quest is always, it's not a traditional RuneScape quest. As you said, it is sort of more of a just run around and talk to everyone, but it gives so much lore, and it was enjoyable and really sort of fleshed out as an Adra, as a character that you sort of can get behind.
Yeah.
So I can.
After that, I went to my list of topics and I put the Temple Knights as a Lore Diggers topic because I feel like we got to talk about our blobby friend Duke Sicelius at some point on RS3 and tie it in with the old school stuff. So,
all the names. I love all the names.
that was just fun. How the Temple Knights, how that was, just the surprise at the end, and they were working to steal the crown, and Zaros is gone, and all that. It was just a real rush in that regard. But following from that, I am mining Bay Knight as well, going for 85 smithing to get the Sins of the Father requirement there, since that one's the closest. And as well, I think I'm just going to push for 90 necromancy to get the tier 90s out of the way, to do that, to just open more PVM doors, because I did the fire cape this week, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to attempt the kiln with tier 80 weapons and tier 70 power.
You'd be fine in the kiln. Yeah. The kiln is pretty well. I would try to get obsidian armor maybe, but kiln is fine. Kiln is don't overestimate the kiln too terribly much. Hurakan actually can be a little spicy if you're too low level, but the rest of it is fine. The Jads aren't too terrible.
Yeah, Jads are fine with prayer switching and whatnot, but that's pretty much been the week. I know back in the day the fire cape would have been the accomplishment, but here it's a footnote. How about you, Pern?
Not a lot this week, just sort of pushing on the archaeology a lot, and getting clues out of the way. Emptied out all the easy clues, so I've since I got the 99 thieving, the cape just makes it so much easier to go down and AFK the ham members. I'll just click on there and basically do the housework and just come back and make sure I click every 15 minutes on the screen. It takes about a half hour, 30-40 minutes to get 25 clues, so I can go and do those, which I did, and after the show off to do another 25 of them, because we need those fortunates.
Very nice.
Actually, we'll have to. You'll have a alchemical onyx we'll be able to use too. I think I should have one now, but yeah.
Good.
Oh, nice.
Get those next lot of items made.
Let us know if you need onyxes. I've got a handful.
How about you, Thexy?
A lot of the same. I have finished making the base overloads. I finished during our pre-show. I finished putting the last of the extremes together. So I have about 1,000 4-dose overloads, just under, to make combo potions out of. Mostly going to be holies, just because that economical and all. As the mailer hour comes up, we'll get those made and put in storage. That part of my journey is finishing up. I'm still doing a little bit of Glacier occasionally. I'm trying to be good about daily stuff in terms of I got the last livid plant I need to get Disruption Shield unlocked this week, so that's very exciting. I'm going to need to start. I don't have the magical to use Spellbook Swap yet, so we'll see how much I actually end up using Disruption Shield, but that's good. And I hit 90 Slayer, largely from Reaper tasks, about half and half from Reaper tasks and the Scarabs in Menaphos.
That's the way to do it.
Done very little Slayer. I love Slayer as a skill. I just haven't had a lot of time for it, and there's just such an efficient way to train it. So I have my next ports adventure, which I'm just super excited about. Ports are going well. I got my first Gemstone Kaseki this week to go with the first Suba, and I can't make anything out of either of them yet. I need to do some skilling.
That's the thing to make the tier 85 weapon.
Wand and
right?
Orbs.
Wand and Orb.
Yep.
Okay.
Which we'll do that, and then we'll go camp the elite dungeons for a while to get upgrade kits for those to make them tier 88, and that'll be good to have around. And we'll do the skilling to be able to make those as soon as the potions are finished. We'll start working on that and get back to archaeology. So that's where we're at.
That's another thought I
good.
had. I thought of just, spending the next 5 days and just camping archaeology and trying to get as close as I could to 86. That was another option.
I really want 95. That was another thing we discovered.
Oh yeah,
we
needed to come back and talk about that. Right.
Yeah, you can in fact get Fury of the Small. So some things you can do, some things you can't. Like the Orthin ones all require you to be able to boost to level 90. So like the Evil Bob's Cat's Paw, the Bait and Switch Relic, requires you to be able to boost to level 90 for it. But some of the things, like the ones that are collection based, you can turn in the collections early. If you get as a GIM, if somebody hands you the completed
Like
artifacts.
pharmacology from Armadillo 1.
Yeah, and same thing with the relics. As soon as you can get into the lower part of the Warforge, you can get the Fury of the Small unlocked. So I'm so excited to have that. That has made my PVing this week so much better. Because Pern was able to restore and hand out an extra anchor for me for that. So I absolutely over the moon about that discovery. So yeah, it seems like a good number of relics you can access at least a few levels early.
You know what's great about archaeology having the master outfit as well? The fixate. I can, if you want something, I can go and just say, okay, you want one of those? Bang, I can just make sure I get that one.
But yeah, so that's... we will be looking into that potentially more in future just to get those done. Because, yeah, super awesome to be able to get those without having to do the full grind for it. I still need some of the stuff, like... we can't hand off anything for like divine conversion. So for my own divination, for getting back into making a bunch of the porters we have, I need to actually go and get the archaeology level for that myself. And if I'm wrong about that, somebody please let me know. But I thought we tested it and it didn't work, or I saw somewhere that said it didn't.
No, you just reminded me. In one other thing I've been doing every night is Gates of Elidnus, and trying to get that dowser for us. I was chatting to someone down there who was in a group Ironman. They had someone who'd gone through. They've got every item off the dowser. Off the Gates of Elidnus, and their divination person, who was divination and runecrafting person, has got them both in his bank and hasn't been on for like 2 or 3 months.
Oh no!
Yeah. So yeah, I thought, that's bad.
That's brutal. That's absolutely brutal.
So yeah, these two people just work the gates to get these things. Give it to this guy, and yeah, he sort of gets them, used them a few times, and hasn't been on for 2 or 3 months.
Oof. Well, yeah, our group's still going strong.
And when it comes to passing things out to other people, we could totally, have somebody like you, Thaxi, make a invention perk. Then you can put that gizmo in the bank, and somebody could just install it, right? Okay, good.
Yep.
I will. That's part of. Yeah, I'm pushing to get.
So, like in theory, then, like, what should be the invention level I target in the meantime?
I mean, I think it's like 60 that allows you to get items to above level 10. Getting your level cap raised to 15, so you can siphon stuff at 12 for stuff you don't want to decon.
Okay.
Beyond that, kind of up to you. I'm trying to think about what. I mean, better is gooder always, because you get bigger charge back and reduced charge drain and all that. And I think a lot of it is just as your items hit level, just siphon them.
Yeah, and once more combat and
Or
PVM
decon or
starts
whatever.
happening, that'll be a fairly regular occurrence in that way.
Yeah.
And same thing with when it comes time to do fishing again, or we get the augmented Matic that we can pass around, that sort of thing. So.
Yep.
But.
Yep.
Sounds good. All right, we do have a few achievements this week as well. So with that, we have Chimney Axer with 99 Hunter on July 1st, Black Nexican with 99 Necromancy on the 30th, Pugnacious Pern here with 99 Thieving on the 30th, GIM Runestar with 99 Necromancy on the 29th, and Ex Polonia with 99 Crafting on the 26th. Congratulations, everyone.
Woo, good job.
I got the Aussie skill to 99.
He did it. He did the thing.
Alrighty. Well, I have a pick of the week, and I maintain a list of picks, right, of things I could go for, and I was going to do one last week, but I thought, that at this point I wanted, to have something that would be useful for the group here with it. So I didn't go with that one because I need somebody else on the show who might get a kick out of what that one was. But I have something this week that's a text editor that's useful for people who edit things. I said editing people in the pre-show.
And I got all excited. I thought I could finally get rid of my fix up my prime minister. But anyway,
what I mean is for regular people who want a text editor that can manage things. There's this thing that's called Notion that at its core level can be a text editor if you want it to be. It can be a to-do list manager if you want it to be. It can be a calendar if you want it to be. Or you can run your entire podcast from it if you want to. Or you can run your entire group Iron Man group from it if you want to. And the reason I say that is because it is what I use primarily when it comes time to look at how I lay out my goals on the group Iron Man. And the app is called Notion. You probably have heard of it before, but effectively what we have is a number of different views. You can create pages and sub-pages and whatnot, and then put them into different layouts. I'm using something here. You guys can't see this right now, but the people watching on video, you're seeing what effectively looks like a Kanban board. And I have my group Iron Man stuff broken up into things that are blocked right now, things on a to-do list, and things that are in progress. It has slimmed down a bit, but that's just one way of doing it. You can use it for other things as well. You could use it as, just like I said, a simple text editor. You could use it as a way of tracking to-dos. You could use it as a trip planning piece of software. And it takes a bit of a learning curve to get into, because you think that, oh yeah, this can, just be a standard text editor here. But you immediately start typing and you have a whole boatload of options of what you can create here. And the most interesting thing that comes about it is that you can embed pages within pages. So the group Iron Man pathing page is an extension of my original group Iron Man to-do list and skill requirement summary. And then with that is my current board of all the skill goals. And then on top of that, we have more sub-pages of all the different skill goals as a method of categorization. So effectively, I guess the best way of describing this is if you're looking for a piece of software that effectively allows you to write, lay out, and manage things, this is probably something that you could look into for a good piece of software that would allow you to do these sorts of things. So Notion.com, 100% free to use. You can get paid plans if you want. You can get their AI add-on if you want to use AI in your notes. I don't do that, but it's free to use, and they have examples for how you might use this in all of your different applications. So highly recommended for RuneScape players. I was turned on to it by Sirion. It's actually something that he uses for his RuneScape stuff too, amongst other things. So
Only in RuneScape.
Looks good, but after your story about the AI earlier, I wouldn't be using it either.
yeah, we were talking about AI in pre-show as well, but maybe that could be a pick of the week one week.
Yeah, definitely. that particular AI too.
But Notion.com, that's our pick of the week here. All right. Anything else before we go?
Nope. Actually, I've just got the first piece of the Holy Agroverload recipe fragment.
Ooh.
So.
Oh, nice.
That's a good
Are they
potion.
tradable?
Doubt it,
The
but you could
recipes?
just make the potions, to be honest.
Oh, yeah, of course I've got the
Yeah,
level
you
now,
just
haven't
put
I?
you just
Yeah.
get
I
a
forget
holy,
about that.
you just get a holy overload and stick an aggro in it and, with an Arbuck and call it a day.
Yeah.
We could get you mats. If
Yeah,
you
they're
get the
kind of
recipe in a note. Same
expensive
thing
too,
with,
aren't
perfect
they?
pluses. I mean, it's an Arbuck, right? It's an Arbuck on top of the potion ingredients, but
Yeah, the Arbucks. I mean, I've given you a bunch of Arbuck seeds. They're pretty regular from the dinosaur plants, vile blooms.
yarg.
It sounds like somebody wants
Good
some
you.
water or somebody wants to go out.
Yes, that's Angel. That's the old girl. I'm trying to shut her up at the moment.
Well, we're just about done, so it's okay. It's okay. If you want to subscribe to the podcast, get the episodes as they arrive each and every week, update.show/subscribe. We're on all the major podcast listening services out there, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Spotify, and more, as well as YouTube at youtube.com/RSBANB. Do give us a like and subscribe. Greatly helps the channel out. And thanks for being here, everybody. Always good to do the show with the GIM group, especially when it comes to piggybacking off our monetization conversation. Thank you for being here, Tanis.
Well, thank you, Shane.
Pernasius, too, everyone's second favorite Australian.
Thank you, and Angel.
That's
In the
right.
background there.
and Paxi, who didn't do math this week. I did math this week.
Ta-da! I did math, just I did it in pre-show.
That's
I
right.
did it before we went live. I prepared this one last night.
And with that being said, folks, we'll see you guys next week for another episode of RSBANB Update. See you then, everyone. Take care.
See ya.
Ciao.
Escape and all.